Taurus, welcome to your August 2019 Astro Update. It's Serena here, and this is one of those months, Taurus, where there is concentrated energy in two signs. I mean, every month, obviously, we have the sun in two different signs, and some of the personal planets that are very close to the sun, it's not, anything new for us to have a new moon, to have a, whatever in a certain month. However, in this case, we have a lot more going on, and that can be indicative of a stronger emphasis in these areas. So for you, because the month starts out with the sun, moon, Venus, and Mars all in Leo, this is a fourth house emphasis. Now, the fourth house is the house of home and family, as well as the mother. And the childhood too. Now, as I record this, we are embarking upon a lunar eclipse in the sign of Capricorn. And because of this, we have this very intensely emotional energy that is coming up. And because Pluto is in Capricorn, there's just a lot going on there. Capricorn in and of itself is not emotional. But when combined with the fact that it's a lunar eclipse and the fact that Pluto is nearby, and the South Node is there. There's a lot of stuff from the past that may feel like it's coming to the surface. And for those of you who are listening after this lunar eclipse, it will still be something that you might be feeling, might be experiencing, where the past is very strong in your vibration. And even as I record this right before that lunar eclipse, I was just thinking about how much I've been thinking about the past. And of course, again, I'm recording this during the sun being in Cancer, and that's very sentimental. So there may be different things going on at once, but as August begins, we're having a new moon the day before, and so there's like this fresh energy, and that's in your fourth house. The sun is there. The sun is what we aspire to be, so there is this domestic influence. You may really be wanting to focus on home matters for whatever reason. I wouldn't be surprised if some Taurus individuals, Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising, are thinking about moving, planning on it, have already put your house up for sale. Maybe you've just bought a house. Maybe that's what the new moon represents for you. But Venus and Mars are there too, and Venus has a monetary connection to whatever house it's transiting through. So again, having money to afford to buy a house or receiving proceeds from a house that you've sold could be going on. Mars in the fourth house can be like even a physical teardown of a home or, renovation. And with Venus, it could also be like decoration. So like building an addition, remodeling a kitchen, and then also beautifying it. And so there may be like some real estate project that you're dealing with that you are in the midst of that's very big for you at the moment. I was kind of laughing to myself because I had to play this back because I didn't know where I was. I paused and I heard that I had a frog in my throat. But anyway, yeah, with all of this, with Mars in the fourth house, there could be conflicts with your mother. Venus is there though too, so it's kind of funny. It's almost like receiving money from your mother, but you're still having some kind of conflict. Or, for some of you, this may be some kind of probate matter, because actually, on the 11th, Jupiter turns direct in Sagittarius, and that's the 8th house. And that can be shared resources as well as, well, I guess a will is a shared resource too, but an inheritance. I just want to make it clear that this is something that would have already been going on for you, and this is maybe resolving it to some degree. Perhaps there was some kind of complication with a will. When Jupiter goes retrograde, though, it's not going to be the same as a Mercury retrograde. It may be something that is more connected to your own philosophy of life. I mean, maybe you felt tempted to go after something, and you questioned your own values, and what would be the price of that? That tendency to just want that money without looking at the bigger picture. So in other words, the philosophical, the more, rather than just the external version of whatever is going on. Although with Jupiter, money could be in play too. So when Jupiter's direct, I like it better. Even though it is said that Jupiter retrograde isn't going to be that negative, that may be true as well, but I still think that everything progresses better when Jupiter goes direct. So that's happening on the 11th. And on the same day, Uranus goes retrograde in your sign. So you have already been experiencing, especially if you're an early degree born in April type of Taurus, you have been really directly experiencing the Uranian energy in those early degrees. And now that Uranus is going retrograde, let me see what actual degree it's going retrograde. I want to say like 6 degrees or something like that. Let me double check here. It's probably like if you are in the first week of Taurus, which would be the end of April. Okay, we're looking at, 6 degrees. So it would be within that first week. And maybe, May 1st-ish. No, probably not. Although it could be felt maybe by May 1st too, if you're born around May 1st. Probably. Sometimes the orb of influence can be as much as 10 degrees, which I prefer anything within 0 to 5 for even the outer planets. I don't know. It just seems like it would be more accurate. So this can be even more radical. When Uranus finally went into your sign for good, at least for the next 7 years, that was in March. And it's all about you changing things up in a very unpredictable way. Taurus tends to be quite consistent. That's the positive way of looking at it. With if this is the first house, we would say your basic personality traits, your appearance, and things like that. And now you may be getting urges to break free from all these constraints. Uranus is very rebellious and revolutionary. And so even on the more superficial level, which the first house could be your appearance, you may just take a wild turn. And now, especially when Uranus is retrograde, this could be even more uncontrolled. But that can be good because it can breathe life into what might be a rut that you have gotten into, where you have been wearing the same type of clothing, wearing the same colors, and now you're just having a lot of impulses to do things completely differently. On a deeper level, this could actually make you crave freedom at any cost. And so even with your personal relationships, they could be definitely affected by it because you may not be willing to do what you did before, and they may be scratching their heads because you were more traditional. Uranus is quite shocking, even like wanting to shock other people out of their complacency. And sometimes, that's a great way of putting it with Taurus or Taurus Sun or Taurus rising is complacency. I have Taurus rising, and I have a lot of mutable energy in my chart, but there's that Taurus part seems to me so influential because Taurus is very grounding. It's a first earth sign. It's like you're a rock, and other people may even rely on you to be the person who weathers every storm, and be their rock. And now you may be quite even agitated, nervous. Uranus, the planet, rules the nervous system. So that can lead the person who has this transit to really be like living on their nerves. And it probably is great for weight loss, I would think, because I know that it's easier to avoid food and not overeat when a person is keyed up. So if that's something that you have been concerned about, that might be a good thing, and you might just feel more naturally energetic, whereas Taurus sometimes can be a bit sluggish, a bit, but mellow. I would like to say mellow. So that's going on as well. This is all on the 11th that this is happening, and Mercury goes back into Leo, that fourth house. So then we have another placement in that fourth house, another transit. This is where Mercury went retrograde. So this may have been some kind of issue, like Mercury can be contracts with a house that you're trying to purchase, or some kind of person, a real estate agent you're talking to, and the communication broke down. Maybe you misunderstood them, they misunderstood you, and you assumed the other person was not happy with something and it was totally something else. But this could be like with your mother, if you felt like there was some kind of communication breakdown, that you get back in alignment in that sense on the 15th. But the significance of that is that was where Mercury retrograded, so it's really getting back up to speed. Jupiter is still going to be in its shadow for quite a while because Jupiter takes longer to transit, so even in its shadow it's going to emerge more slowly, but it's in the right direction. On the 15th, we have a full moon at 22 degrees of Aquarius. I can't help but notice the degree of the full moon as well, which is a master number, 22. Some of you may have been seeing, 1111 or 111 or 222. These are these angel numbers, these kind of, either you could call them spiritual prompts, or somehow these messages they're being given to us about certain things in our life, about awakening, spiritual awakening, and the like. But anyway, the number 22 is a number of the master builder, because it is a higher octave of the number 4, which is a building number. So, 22 is reduced to 4, although you're not supposed to reduce master numbers. So they stay at 22 and 11 and things like that. But it does still have that same vibration. So this is in the career sector. Full moons bring things to fruition. What does fruition mean? It means that something that you have been working on is at its height. It's the highest it can go. It's, reaching its completion. Now, if you're somebody who has not been working on anything specifically, this could be that you're like, how they say this, when you're like in life, you may have like peaks and valleys. This is one of those peaks. And so it could be that you get a promotion if you work for somebody else. If you work for yourself, you could see that you have new popularity. So, for instance, if you work online and you have social media that you rely upon to get clients, this could be that you just get that next wave of popularity. I'm fascinated by this in terms of YouTube because, it's always interesting to watch videos with people who have like 1 million subscribers. I was just watching one of those the other day, and she was talking about how, she was talking about her trajectory. I'm always like worried about how to say that. So basically, she went on for, gathering about 10,000 subscribers a year. And then when she had 40-something subscribers, I think she said 48,000, something happened and then it just took off. And this is, to me, what I would call critical mass. So this is, I think, what separates, I was going to say the boys from the men, but I'll say the girls from the women, okay? Because most of you are going to be women. Let's just say the children from the adults. The people that give up their own business early on because they don't see the growth, those are people that sometimes may throw in the towel too early. And they're being unrealistic about what they can expect. And they have like too idealized a vision, and they are not allowing time for it to take off. I think of the 7 of Pentacles in the Tarot. So the thing is that it may take years for you to really build up a network, a following, if you have, if you rely on the internet, things like that. And you have to be willing to commit to the long haul. And even face those questions that everybody has to face when they feel like they're struggling. Am I good enough? Do I suck? Those kinds of things. And some people, they can't handle it. And I have great sympathy for them because I'm a very sensitive person myself. And I think that it always helps to have a very realistic perspective, maybe a philosophical framework to comfort yourself, and that can kind of keep you spiritually fed while you're dealing with things that can really trigger a lot of insecurities. So this may be something that is like the critical mass, where you have been working for years to sustain a business, and maybe you've seen growth, but it's been very modest, and then you just start to grow by leaps and bounds, or you just see it like a new best for yourself. For some of you, this may be deciding to end a career. Maybe you've been holding on to something that just hasn't been fulfilling for quite a while. Or maybe some of you are retiring, and that's a big change in your life and a new chapter in your life. Retirement seems like that's an easy thing to do, but I could totally see why it would not be. I sometimes marvel at people's bravery to retire, because that person, especially if they were in a certain field for many years, and especially if they had achieved recognition in their field, that feeds a person at some level. And to go kind of into that obscurity of your own personal life can be daunting, even if you know that it's good for you or that it needs to happen. Or if you simply want more free time, it can still be quite difficult. Just like if you're selling a home that you've lived in for many years. I recently said goodbye to some people in the neighborhood who were selling their home, and they had been working on it for quite a while. My partner was actually helping in that process so they could sell the home, and he was doing some work for them, and they invited us to see the house when it was finally done and all the work was done, but they were leaving it. And I remember a couple of days later going by that house, and it was completely empty, and they had lived there almost 40 years. I mean, even if you have had some negative experiences in recent years, it still is a major kind of milestone and shift to do something that different. And the same thing applies to career. And I marvel at people's bravery, because some people wouldn't be able to do it. They would have to either get pushed out, or they would die doing it, or living in a certain place. But actually, that is a form of getting pushed out, isn't it? So, very interesting. So something you may get recognition for your career achievements in some way, whether it's formally from your higher ups who are kind of recognizing it. It could be through a promotion, I guess, but also just through, receiving some honors. But it can also be with the public, where you are becoming popular for some reason. People are learning about you, what you are about. So that's on the 15th. On the 18th, Mars goes into Virgo. This is that first foray into that fifth house. Okay, so the fourth house is Leo, the fifth house is Virgo. And the fifth house is fun. I mean, literally, it can be what you do in your leisure time. And one thing about Taurus is that you like to have fun. I mean, if there's anyone who we would say work hard, play hard, it would probably be Taurus. Your fellow sign, Capricorn, wouldn't be play hard. I think Capricorns are like work hard and then work even harder. That should be their motto. Virgo should be work hard and then live a very simple life. But Taurus, you are a creature of the senses, so you love your luxury, you love your nice dinners, nice restaurants, going shopping, some retail therapy, And, but the fifth house is kind of like what you do for fun if you go to parties, concerts, and things like that. It can be recreational sex, speaking of Taurus, but Mars is also the sex drive, so that can be very active, this sense of like, if you're single, being on the hunt for some type of relationship. Because the fifth house is love. And that early stage of love where you're infatuated with somebody. And it's also creativity. And so artists may be very driven when Mars goes into the fifth house. It's a business that you own. So again, really putting a lot of effort into something that is for your business. Maybe you're creating a new program, a new service. On the 21st, Venus goes into Virgo. So Venus is that money, that grace, that love relationship. Maybe with Mars in the fifth house, you find yourself really attracted to somebody physically. And then a few days later, you realize that this person is somebody that you could actually have feelings for, that it's not just a physical thing. Venus in the fifth can be making money through your art. On the 23rd, the sun goes into that fifth house. So now the party is really on in the fifth. And so you morph Taurus into a bit of a Virgo. a bit of a Virgo, but also in the fifth house, so it would be a bit of a Leo. And so that can be somebody who is really just enjoying your life at this time. And, in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the end of summer. And so it's not uncommon for people to just try to go out, I was going to say in a blaze of glory, with this sense of like, okay, we're really going to try to make the most of the last warm days, and just really enjoy this. And, whatever that means for you. But you could be definitely feeling very romantic. On the 29th, Mercury goes into Virgo, the fifth house. So you may be speaking about your feelings to a person and, telling them exactly how they make you feel. And if you are falling in love with somebody, that certainly can be a time when you're verbalizing it. The very next day, the new moon goes into that fifth house at 6 degrees of Virgo on the 30th. Did I say 30th? And that is a new beginning in fifth house matters. Love, creativity, the business that you own. It's a great time to launch if you're trying to launch a business or a creative project. It could be, it's either starting a creative project or starting the promotion of it if you've already finished it. So yes, that's what I have for you, Taurus. This is a jam-packed month and very clearly emphasizing two distinct areas. So, by the way, one thing that I should have mentioned and drawn the connection to the fourth and fifth houses is that children can be featured in both of these houses. So if you're in a relationship with somebody and having a child has been important to you, there may be some kind of rumination or, kind of thinking like, do I want to? Maybe that's what the Mercury retrograde was about for you. Is this a time for me to have a child? And, when Mercury went back into your fourth house, what kind of a mother am I going to make? What kind of house do I have? Is this big enough for a child? Is this a good area to raise a child? These kinds of concerns. So hopefully you will resolve them in August. And anyway, I wish you all the best. If you would like a personal reading, I do natal chart interpretations. I do love readings and things like that. And these are, my natal chart are just pure astrology. My love readings also contain a mini tarot reading as well. Please check me out at rainaMoonAstrology.com. The link is below. Take care. Bye.